Daphne and Shonrick, as well as Dr. Geraldine Tan from the therapy room. Good morning, Dr. Jerry.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
We got some new faces on the show today. So I think they'll definitely offer a different perspective from Glenn and the Flying Dutchman. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, it will be exciting. This week is exciting, huh?
It will definitely be exciting. And we are talking about something that I don't think we've ever spoken about in Singapore. Strangers in Singapore. I mean, what do you mean by strangers in Singapore?
Strangers in Singapore, because I was thinking of a title that was a little bit catchier, but it's because a lot of organizations are coming forward to request for us to go in and work with their teams. And it's because of the reopening, more self-initiated expatriates. So they have more foreigners in their teams now, and they are finding it more and more difficult to integrate. So both ways, whether it's our locals to feel more comfortable with them, or it's the foreign colleagues that are trying to assimilate with everyone.
Okay, that's an interesting topic because there are a lot of foreigners here in Singapore now.
True.
I mean, I feel like there have always been a lot of foreigners in Singapore, but I think that integration has never really been too much of an issue because a lot of people move here knowing with the expectation of what
the culture's like
job,
here in Singapore.
and because there were less of them. But then I think the hype, especially, I don't know if this has contributed to more people coming in, but with Crazy Rich Asians, people had this idea of what Singapore is like, and they move here being like, it's gonna be amazing. I'm gonna make so much money. Everything's gonna be so advanced, but they forget that a big, beautiful part of Singapore is our culture.
Yeah. I don't know about you. Anyone has any like personal experience with this? Because where I used to work in Sentosa,
You forgot what you used to work.
for a moment. Being a performer, there were many other performers from all around the world. So we were in Singapore, but you have people from different backgrounds working together, and there is that like what you said, like that bit of a challenge with assimilating in Singapore from coming from a different place, and you can see that. You can see that in their cultures. But what was really cool was you can actually see effort, like from these foreigners coming in and going like, oh, this is what this phrase means, like learning language and English, or just how different words mean certain things at like ordering food, in for example,
Or trying new food.
exactly.
And the way we eat and stuff like that.
Maybe this is me being a little bit harsh because I've lived in a bunch of different places too, but that's what anyone who moves to a new city has to do. You just have to, like, to assimilate or to find yourself comfortable in a new environment. You just have to learn to adapt. Topic.
So, Dr. Jerry, are we going to be encroaching on the topic of racism and xenophobia as well?
Oh, no.
Not at all?
Not at all. I'm not going to be racist or political or anything like that, but really just having a discussion, right? I like what Daphne said about, when we go over or we decide to go overseas and work, we just have to do it. So oftentimes we have to do it. But being, in the business of mental health, that comes with a lot of expectations also.
Right.
Because a lot of times when we see these self-initiated expatriates and they come in and they are burnt out or they are very depressive, they say the weight is on my shoulders. There's a lot of expectation. My parents, have invested in me.
Right.
There's a lot of hope that I will make it. So there's in part that expectations that they come with, and they feel like a failure if they don't make it, quote unquote.
You don't want to let them down, right?
Yeah, but they don't realize that they can't just uproot and plonk themselves into another environment and not recognize that there will be challenges. So sometimes they forget to prep themselves for the challenges.
So we're not just talking about white collar workers, we're talking about blue collar workers as well, because we have so many like domestic workers here as well as foreign workers, that come in, and a lot of their family families back home depend on this
Yes.
one person that's
Yeah, for
overseas.
that income.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. And I want to draw that difference for us, right? A lot of times people would say migrant workers.
Yeah.
So this term that goes out there is supposed to be a very neutral term, but now it's being used in a very derogatory manner. So migrant workers is as if, oh, you're going to come, you're going to take over everything. And migrant workers oftentimes refer to people that come from not as developed countries.
Yeah.
So it has that negative connotation. So I prefer
Right.
self-initiated expatriates because those are your foreign workers. Those are your domestic helpers that will go back eventually.
Technically, we can call the people in fintech and bankers as well migrant workers, can't we? I mean, it's
Absolutely.
yeah. But it's not used. They always have this
they-
sort of
Yeah.
dissected
I was just
terms.
in my mind. I was thinking across the board.
Migrant workers.
At the
Yeah.
end of the
Oh,
day,
no,
it's like
yeah.
if you're from outside, you come in.
Or
That's it.
strangers.
And the migrant workers, we don't want to use that, but they're expatriates as well because they're
Yeah.
coming here on a different kind of package, but they're all here for the same goal: is to make money, is to make a mark
Yep.
in, and they make a mark in their own perspective and their own.
Absolutely.
Wherever they fit in.
They fit in the
Yeah,
society and all that.
society.
Yeah.
And I think having an expectation, or the right kind of expectation comes with research, comes
Yeah.
with like having conversations with other people that, are
Who have
already
done it,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So what can we do to help them assimilate, Dr. Jerry?
So I want to use the concept of group psychotherapy. So I thought it was quite applicable.
Okay.
So going into an organization, it's like a group. So we want to use group dynamics. So one of the things that we want to do is to be curious. So we always talk about like communicate, and we know about the language barriers, we know about the cultural differences. So we can communicate. Why do we want to communicate, right? The reason behind that is because we want to search for similarities. So when we come together as a group, it's very nice when we can share something together. What divides us is you're different and I'm different, and we only look at the differences. So when we want someone to come into that space, we need to look for similarities.
It's that unison together.
Yes.
That bridging.
Yes.
Or the commonalities
Yeah.
that we
Yeah.
have.
It could be the type of food you like. It could be the music. It could
Exactly.
be movies,
First thing-
anything.
First thing in my head,
Music,
food.
food. Yeah, because I mean, Singapore.
Everyone's got to eat too,
It's actually
right?
very interesting. This topic is very interesting. One of the shows that I'm doing outside now, performing in schools, right? It's actually on this very topic as well. About how people who are who are migrating to different places, for example, Singaporeans to maybe Australia or something, and facing those challenges, just like how, and this same character is facing the challenge that other foreign workers come to Singapore as well. So is having that understanding of the challenge. I wasn't very nice. Or I was learning
Yeah.
about this, and then at the end of the day, everyone learning to be more understanding, more
Open-minded.
and
Yeah,
basically
passionate.
just more embracing to each other at the end of the day.
And
Yeah.
communicating that.
Yeah,
Because I
absolutely.
think it gets lost in translation sometimes too.
For sure.
You don't want to speak up. I'm sure all of us have been on the end where we're like kind of the minority, whether
Yeah.
it be because we're new
or as a
'cause we're
tourist,
different.
even. Yeah.
And you're too afraid to like speak up.
Yeah.
Right,
and-
right.
And I can imagine, I mean, not just the workers in the construction industry and the bankers and stuff like that. There are also lots of students that come in without families.
Absolutely.
And all they have is their own little community of classmates and no one outside of that, only because they hang out with them, right?
I have the cutest story about that actually.
Do you?
So there was this this young boy that my mom met that would always be at the same bus stop where we lived. So I guess he would wait for the train, and then I guess they were waiting for the bus to go to school and go
Yeah.
to work. And so every morning they'd see each other, and then my mom started striking up a conversation with him. And this is this boy from Wuhan. Actually, we'd never heard of Wuhan until
COVID.
but my mom had, and she didn't even connect the dots. But they ended up becoming, good friends.
Oh,
And then
nice.
my mom, she would invite him over for like Easter or like Christmas, and because he had no family here, and even up till now, he still sends us like cards.
Oh,
That's so
that's very
sweet.
sweet. That's And it is Therapy Tuesday with Dr. Jerry. And today we're talking about strangers in our familiar environment. I think that's a good way to put it because you could be anywhere, like in an office, you could be at school, you could be moving overseas and be that stranger. Be the stranger.
Absolutely.
So we're talking about how we can perhaps help assimilate new people that we meet from foreign countries. And Daphne had a really great story about her mom and a young boy at a bus stop. I know it sounds maybe that's not the perfect. That's not the perfect description.
No,
but
if you meet my mom, you'll know she's like the nicest, like fairy godmother type. You know, she's like she had cancer maybe like 20 years ago, and she's always supporting other people. That she's always just like, oh, you have a friend, send them my way. I'll be their support.
Oh, sweet!
Shout out to Mama Koo.
Yeah, shout out to Mom. Big love to Mama Koo. But I guess they met at a bus stop because he takes the bus to school the same time as my mom takes the bus to work, and because they see each other every morning, I guess they started striking up a conversation. And she's like, oh, you go to school around here? You knew? And it turns out he was this kid from Wuhan that didn't have any family here. He was just here on his own. And my mom was like, oh, well, I have 3 girls and like most of them are gone university and what have you. So my house is very empty, and I'm sure my husband would appreciate like having kids in the house again. So if you ever want to come over for like Thanksgiving or any kind of like Chinese New Year, that kind of thing.
Nice.
So he would come over, and then we also met him. We were like, who's this boy? I was like, oh, he's by himself, in Singapore. So we invited him for Chinese New Year for dinner
for
and
occasions.
stuff. And now I think he's back in Wuhan, like working and stuff. But he still sends us cards like all the time.
That's a really sweet story. But not everyone strikes up a conversation like Daphne's mom.
True,
I mean,
true,
in
true.
what way can we help? And then because they were doing it, they were meeting every day. They had that opportunity to kind of smile one day, start a conversation the next day. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes we meet one person only at that moment in time. How can we help, Dr. Jerry, in that sense?
Oh, I don't think we meet that person only one moment in time if it is our colleague, right?
Oh, if it's colleagues, no, yeah.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, we will meet them in the office. We'll meet them in, the same space. And definitely just the second point, which is creating that other primary family group, because how we play mother, father, children in primary school, and Sean-Rick is like frowning. You've never played that in primary school?
Oh, no, I just saw I just saw something completely unrelated, but no, I did not play a lot when I was a child. No, I'm just kidding.
Wait, do you have siblings?
Yes, I have one younger sibling.
A boy or a girl?
Brother.
Okay, no wonder.
Okay.
Why did I
Girls
answer-
confirm make
why
you
did
play
I
house
answer you
one.
with sibling? I could have just said
Yeah,
brother.
All good. Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Jerry,
Yeah,
you're saying?
that's true.
Family group, creating that family group. The concept of family group is really just welcoming someone into your space and treating the other person like how you would like to be, how you would like your brother or sister to be treated,
Right.
So welcoming them into your space. So that's the second one. And when you meet a new person, just exchanging information would be very, very useful.
Just
so
straight
more
away, here's
often
my
than
Instagram,
not.
is it? Or-
Instagram, I think, is a very safe way to communicate.
I mean,
though.
saving up.
Remember?
Oh yeah. So this generation, I suppose imparting information is also, the other person. So the foreigner wanting, being asked a lot of questions. We
They're
forget
getting to know the
share
person.
about ourselves.
But it's interesting. It's interesting that the millennials and Gen Z has said, "Here's my Instagram." But it is interesting that they brought that up because now on Instagram, I mean, besides just sending messages, you can also video call.
Yes.
Yes.
And Instagram, social
Is it weird that
media,
you can't just regular call on Instagram? It has to be a video
call. But you can also sort of stalk the person's page and find out a lot about them so that you can find commonalities. I mean, that is the new way
Or
of
find out
opening up
if
my
they're-
phone, my photo book.
Yeah.
You coming over to
Oh,
my house,
true.
I open up my photo book.
Oh,
This is my
yeah.
life.
Technically, is kind of like Instagram.
It's like that,
But
right?
I feel like that's a very innocent way of looking at Instagram. I don't know. I was just watching this show where this girl starts to like screenshot different accounts and then create a fake account.
Oh, tons of people
It depends
do
on
that.
how you use the tool, I guess. you know?
Yeah.
But like going
That
to
scene
your,
just got me real
going to
skeptical.
Dr. Jerry's point, what you said about the whole family union part.
Second family.
Yeah, having like a second family. That literally happened when I used to work at the theme park, and there was the Filipino community there. Wonderful, absolutely
sure.
wonderful.
Chosen family.
Every morning, good morning, kuya, good morning, ate. Just that general. Even if you don't know the person and you just say good morning, it brightens up their day. There's a smile,
Yes.
just having that pep in your step, and then the family community of like eating together, going to do a show together, and coming back. Oh, that was a lot of fun. Having these fun moments, whatever your workspace is, but just building that bond is just really, really nice.
I love the Filipinos. I mean, they've got such great family community. I mean,
Yes.
before you know it, you're like their godfather to
Yeah.
their child or something like. Because they're very trusting and they're very open.
Very.
and they
Yeah,
welcome a
very.
lot of
loving.
people into their space, which is a lot that we can learn from.
You know, they
Yeah.
really love you. They start bringing you their own home cooked food.
Food?
Yes,
Yeah.
food. It's
Like
always
they were like,
food, right?
like Kuya Shan, you have tried this before. Come. My grandmother.
You must
made-
eat.
You must eat. I'm like, I just came out the canteen. No, you eat.
It's a bit like Chinese, right? Like
A
that's
bit,
how
yeah.
you show love. But I think Chinese is more territorial to like your family
You
kind of
earn
thing.
you earn my meal first.
yeah, or something like that. But to your point, I think a great way to start a conversation or even just open up that safe space is to just say good morning, good
Yeah.
afternoon,
Smile.
smile,
In
yeah.
the lift.
Yeah.
I've tried the smiling thing in Singapore. It's not always reciprocated.
No, it's
True,
not. But I
very
always
true.
say you don't do something to expect something back.
yeah, for
You know
sure.
what I mean? Because if we do that, then we get disappointed, right? That we don't receive a smile. But Dr. Jerry, how else can we,
Open,
be welcoming?
Well, so not just be welcoming, but also thinking of a group, right? What is a group for? A group is for catharsis. Catharsis, what does it mean in psychological terms? Is to share your emotions. So when Daphne was talking about the smile, or when Shanrik was sharing about the Filipino little family there,
Yeah.
it just puts a smile on your face.
Yeah.
But I'm sure we don't only share good moments. We also share difficult moments. When you cry or when you need someone to lean in or into, you know that they are there for you. You use the word trust. In order to trust, that is also, a part of the emotions. So creating that space for us so that we can emote safely.
It must be so hard for someone in a new country or a
Yes.
new company, a new school,
Yeah.
to be to try and find someone, because as you said, it's easy to have the laughs, but someone to cry along with
It's
and have a
just-
safe space.
Just exactly having that safe
Safe
space,
space.
wherever it is, ideally if you have somebody new in the workspace as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, because you spend so much time at work
Yeah.
or at school,
And to be fair, I mean, like I think the onus is also on the individual because for a long time I was like, whenever I traveled and I would keep going to new cities and stuff, I didn't want a new friend group. I didn't want because. There was one place, I mean, the first place that I traveled to, I got a bunch of really good friends and I left and never heard from them.
Oh.
And it's not really, I don't necessarily blame them, but it was one of those things where distance is hard,
No,
and
I
then I was in
understand
a
that,
different
yeah.
time zone
Right.
and all that. So it just didn't end up computing. And so I decided to just close myself off. Even if people like would text me, I would not reply. I'd just be like, I don't want to get too close. I just want to do my thing here. And I was very clear in the objective of like my career trajectory. But then, as I moved on in life or as I got older, I realized the value of having this chosen family, not just my family, but the family that understands
Right.
your pain and your,
outside of family.
yeah, well, your day to day, because
Yeah.
I'm not gonna, I'm very close to my mom, but I'm not gonna call her every day. Actually,
Yeah.
I do call her every day, but I'm not gonna tell her everything.
But I'm sure, Dr. Jerry, there are some people that don't want to make friends. Like Daphne was just
Exactly.
saying, they want to keep closed
Sure.
off. How can you,
Sure.
what do we do?
What
Do we just
we
leave them
do,
alone?
Right? No, I don't think we should leave them alone. I think even for Daphne, you would appreciate someone just checking in with you and say, hey, how are you doing?
Yeah.
How's it going? Is anything difficult? Do you need any help? So just simple questions like that would definitely help, because these provide little markers or little guides for them that they are doing okay, or to check in with themselves also, and to let them know that the door is always open should they need to reach out. So
Right.
even if someone closes the door, we do not need to close our door. It's not tit for tat.
I love that. I think that's actually what broke me down. That was like someone that just consistently kept checking in on me.
You.
And I was like, wow, there are people out there that care about me, that maybe if I leave, this person has enough resilience that won't just leave me in the dust.
Really making that safe space for you.
Yeah. And I think that's really, that was a great shout, because I think that's what made the difference for me.
Yeah, that is really nice to do. Yeah.
Yeah, and the last one is giving hope, right? Because a lot of them, there's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of insecurities. They can be very skilled. They can come with all their accolades and degrees, but coming into a different culture, a different space, can also create a lot of anxiety, or not quite anxiety. They are not quite sure whether it fits, their professional skills fit into this environment or not. So, just letting them know that they are doing well, they are okay, can help give them a bit of hope.
Dr. Jerry, we have one comment on our Facebook by Ashley, and it's not, I suppose we don't want it to come off as xenophobia, but it is something that we've heard a lot of. We've heard quite a few accounts of expatriates feeling entitled and being pushy, hence locals shouting back things like, go back to your country. Can Dr. Jerry comment on something like this, and perhaps what we should do to not even feel that we have to say something like that?
Okay, so I'm assuming that it is in response to a behavior that someone did, right? Yeah, so how much do we know about the other person's culture? We don't. We honestly don't. We have never known the person. The person really is a stranger. We don't know, we can't say we know each and every culture. So even for us, every family have their own culture. Right? So it doesn't mean that you know everybody. So can we interpret someone's behavior? No. If it is affecting you, then we deal with it, or we address it on the spot, because it affects us. And not because, I think it's unfair, or, it is a global sort of comment, because it is not. There are lots of people that are really, really nice. And one behavior, one person doesn't mean that it represents the whole population.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think one of the other parts is also our fear, and we need to check in with what our fears are. Is it towards the culture? Is it towards things that are unfamiliar? And sometimes fear makes us do a lot of strange things also. That's why we want to talk about many different topics and help us understand that, we're not very, very different also.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Jerry. We have to welcome our next guest in, and our time always flies with you. Do you have any final words?
Yes. So today I have a Jerry's original, and
awesome.
I would like to say the color of blood is the same all across the wall, even if the color of the skin is different.
Oh, I love that. Thank you, Dr. Jerry, and thanks for joining us this morning. We'll see you next week.
Glad to be here. Take care, everyone.
Have a great week.
Thank you for today.
Bye-bye.